Hey, this is Kirk.
This is Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show, and we are back with our picks. And I'm blessed to have with me today Jay Gholson, Jason Sterling. We've got Kirk Hilliard.
All right, so this is our weekly picks episode. And then make sure that you subscribe to us and you follow us on Twitter at the Kirk and Byrd Show. We're getting a lot of momentum with a forum that we've put together on Facebook, the 703-540 Nova High School Sports. So we're going to talk about the second round, and we're going to preview 6 games and then go over all the other games. So big matchup. We thought it was one of the better ones. 2 teams we're very familiar with. That's Kettle Run at Brentsville. And this is a rematch from it's going to be a couple weeks apart. Jay, I know you know a lot about the teams. We all know about these teams. Except the only thing that's going to be different is Kettle Run's going to be going up to Brentsville. And Jay, I just want to get your feeling on this one, the big rematch.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a good team, twice in 2 weeks. Luckily for Brentsville, it's going to be at Brentsville, and they never lose at home. Yeah, Brentsville 1 loss, Kettle Run 1 loss. You have 2 good quarterbacks. Good running backs for both teams. But I just felt with that crowd at Brentsville being really loud. And Brentsville has a little bit, in my opinion, has a lot of good, talented players like Langston White and Caleb Alexander. I'm going to say Brentsville 20, Kettle Run 12.
Okay. Jason Sterling.
I think we assumed these 2 teams would wind up meeting again, didn't we? And here we
are.
Yeah, two rival 10-1 teams. They both won fairly easily in round 1. We had Kettle Run knock off Skyline. Brentsville dispatched up Meridian pretty easily. So you go back to that regular season game that Jay was referencing, and we saw Brentsville pull out a victory. And I think it's a game we thought could go either way, but we all leaned Kettle Run in that game, if I recall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brentsville showed us they were the better team that night, guys. But the key for me in this was that night, right? Is Brentsville really the better team, or did they just play better a couple of weeks ago? That's the big question. To Jay's point, beating a team twice in like a 3-week window, that's a tough assignment. I've got this game a lot closer, I think, than what we saw then. I think Kettle Run flips the script here, pulls this one out on the road. I think a huge game from Colton Quaker I've got down. Put me down for the Cougars winning this one. Very, very close game. 28, Brentsville 27. So 28 Kettle Run, Brentsville 27.
Okay. Mr. Byrd.
Brentsville will win. They were on the road at Kettle Run. I think they're extremely motivated to make it to the state championship game. And I'm not saying this will be their hardest test, but I think this could be the hardest until they get to a state championship game. I have a lot of faith in Coach White and what he's going to emphasize this week. They know what they do well, and they know what's going their players and how to push the right button. So I have a lot of faith that Brentsville will win this game 28-17.
Okay. I think that if you looked at top to bottom, speed and athleticism, I think that actually Brentsville is better. But there's something about Kettle Run. I like the way that they play. I love their weapons. Jake Mulhern. I like Colton Quaker, just a great high school football player. He was injured. I was trying to get a report on his injury, but Brentsville's going to be tough at home. But I just think Kettle Run, even though they're playing at Brentsville, are going to have a psychological advantage. They really just shut down after that long run by Nico Orlando, and then the pick 6 deep in their own territory. I think that they're going to have a lot to go on, and I'm just going to take Kettle Run 26-12 on this one. And Coach White and Brentsville will tell you they do pretty well when I pick against them. So, all right, so moving on to another unbelievable game, guys, and that's Dinwiddie, defending Class 4 champion at undefeated King George, We'll take the Dinwiddie alum, Jason Sterling. What's our preview? We've all looked at this game. Tell us, Jason.
Yeah, another game where I think we sort of were hoping maybe and figured these two teams might meet in the playoffs at some point. Hey, guys, if you think back to last year, they played that classic regional final last year.
Mm-hmm.
Dinwiddie knocked them off 47-41
Yep.
on their way to that state championship. So I think for this time around, it's just a matter of when they were going to meet, right? So they're meeting in the regional semi here. This is the one game. It's a shame one of these teams will have to end their season on Friday night.
No.
I mean, both of these guys are state title worthy. That's how it goes, though, right? I mean, that's what happens in football. You're one and done in the playoffs. King George's coach, Vernon Lunsford, he's in his 6th season. He's put together one of the better offensive programs in the state. I mean, those 2 Power 5 receivers we've talked about several times this year. Chance Wiggins, who's going to Tech, Kirk, as you know. Makai White, I think, is going to Maryland.
Yep.
Their quarterback, Jack Pearson, because of those receivers, he's got the entire field to work with, right? He can stretch every part of the field, which is great. On the other side, we know about Dinwiddie's tough schedule and how good their offense is, Dalton and Tucker. I think that offense can almost match anybody in the state point for point. I lean on that early, difficult schedule from Dinwiddie. I think that's a difference maker. They won't be intimidated on the road. Dinwiddie knocks off the number 1 seed on Friday night, 41-30. Another pretty high scoring game, but Dinwiddie pulls this one out.
Yeah, Gholson, that's an interesting bus ride, my man.
How long?
Well, you're coming from down 85, you got to go up Richmond, and then you got to get off of 95 and go down 3. So
you could go over 301, maybe go 301 over there.
301.
Well, I'm going to go by the tough schedule. I'm a tough schedule guy, so I'm going to say Dinwiddie 30, King George 21.
Okay. Rusty.
Just so we can keep this moving. I like King George. I like them to win this one. I mean, last year at this time, I thought King George could win it, and they could have. But I think when you've got in one region, King George, Dinwiddie, and Varina, that's some quality football right there. King George with the revenge in mind to get the win.
Yep. Okay.
35-24.
This is a hard one to pick. King George had that stinging loss last year, so you think psychologically they've got a lot to coach on. Dinwiddie had a few losses, and they are the defending state champion. They are a power football team. King George can put up a lot of points. These two teams are probably like, hey, everybody's talking about Phoebus. What about us? And whoever wins this game gets the right to play the winner of Varina Huguenot. I just like what Coach Mills has going on at Dinwiddie. I like the tradition. They're a power football team. I think power is going to overcome skill. I like Dinwiddie 31-27, another classic close game, but King George winning would be no surprise at all. So getting back to the 7-5-7, great matchup here. We got the Warwick Raiders, unbelievable high school, great players in their history. At Kings Fork, which is a newer high school but has become a powerhouse. Kings Fork's battle-tested. They've had multiple overtime games. I talked to a bunch of people today that have played both teams, some head coaches. Before, I want to get your take, Rusty, because you got a fraternity brother that's a coach at Warwick. What's your take on this game? This is a great game going this weekend.
Well, both teams beat my high school, Bethel, this year. And if I'm not mistaken, both of these teams were Class 4 last year, right?
They were both 4. Yep.
Both 4. I like Warwick to win this game. I think what we cannot forget is Warwick, yes, they have a loss, but it was only to Phoebus. And Phoebus only put up 10 points. That defense is still only giving up 23 total. I know Kings Fork's good, but I got Warwick, not just because they can be explosive on offense, but because that defense is incredible.
The Raiders.
20, I got Warwick 20-13. And
so this region's interesting, right? Region 5B, our eyes are trained to go right to Maury.
To Maury, exactly.
And we assume that, there's nobody else in this region, outside of Maury. The winner of this game, between the number 2 and the number 3 seed, is really going to want to have something to say about that. These are two heavyweights, guys. They're going to duke it out on Friday night. You got two really, really good teams here. 23 points, Rusty, you mentioned there. That's over 11 games, man. You guys can do the math on that. That's ridiculously low. That two-way player, Messiah Delhomme, I mean, he's got Power 5 schools salivating over him. They're going to enjoy his services in a few years. What's King Forks done? They've run the table, guys. 2 double overtime wins. You mentioned Kirk. I mean, that's absurd to be able to do that. I think in back-to-back weeks, if I recall. This should be a great battle in Suffolk on Friday night. I'm taking Warwick in this one. I love their defense. It's a pretty close game, though. Give me Warwick 20, Kings Fork 14. But this game could go either way. I'll tell you, this is one of these. You flip a coin, and you'll find out who the winner is.
That's 2 points a game, Jason. 2
There you
points.
go. I appreciate your calculator there, man. Thank you.
I'm kind of a senior budget analyst. That's what I do.
I'm going to go with the home team, Warwick. I'm going to say Kings Fork 12, Warwick 7.
Common theme here. Close scores. I went back and forth on this one. I think Warwick's got something special going. I think that the loss to Phoebus may skew people's opinions. I like this Warwick team. And I think that we talk about Messiah Delhomme. We talk about Eduardo Rios. They've got a dynamic punt returner, kick returner. But that defense is going to be unbelievable. I like Warwick 16-7. And that's we've already talked about the Battlefield Bobcats, and they're going to an undefeated Mountain View. 2 undefeated teams. Rusty and Jay, you're very familiar. This is a Prince William team going up against a Stafford County team. Jay, you know these teams like the back of your hand. What's your take on this game? That's going to be a big one.
Well, this game we have 2 of the best D linemen in the state, with Cam Binkowski for Battlefield and Eric Mensah from Mountain View.
What year is Cam, by the way? I know Brandon is a senior. What year is Cam, Jay?
Junior.
Okay. I'm gonna call Nick Saban about him. Okay.
He's a monster as a line. Yeah, he just goes at it 100% every play. But it's at Mountain View. But Battlefield, to me, watching the film, Gholson in this game has more talent than Mountain View. And Battlefield does travel well on the road. I'm gonna think, Brandon Minkowski, I think Boggs and Woodson and O'Shea, they're gonna have a great game. So I'm picking Battlefield to go down to Mountain View, packed house. I'm gonna say Battlefield 28, Mountain View 14.
All right. Jason Sterling.
22 wins in 22 games between these two teams, right? It's not too shabby.
Yeah.
So when I see 2 undefeated teams like this, I start peeling back the schedules to see where some of maybe the commonalities or differences come into focus there. Patriots, their single common opponent, as far as I believe, right?
Yep.
Battlefield beat Patriot twice in the last couple of weeks, as we know. Mountain View beat Patriot back in October. So it's hard to glean anything from that. The strength of schedule, to me, leans Mountain View, which is why they got the number 2 seed over Battlefield at the number 3 seed. I think their opponents had more overall wins than Battlefield's wins, our opponents' wins. With Mountain View playing at home, I think coupled with their strength of schedule, my brain tells me Mountain View, but I've got a gut feeling this is going to be Battlefield. So I'm going against what my brain tells me and going with a gut feeling here. I'm going to pick Battlefield to go down into Stafford on Friday night with a very late defensive stand to pull out the victory. I've got Battlefield 24, Mountain View 20.
Oh,
Right.
welcome.
A late
Rusty
defensive
Byrd.
stand. Let's see if that happens.
Rusty Byrd, you are not picking against the Prince William team.
Hold on. Jason, I am not joking. You definitely stole my pick. You stole my score, my pick. I actually have Battlefield 24-20 winning at Mountain View, but Mountain View is a really good team. But the one thing that sticks out to me is this. Mountain View laid a big egg against Stonebridge last year. And I was just sitting there like, what is going on? I was there.
And
I
the year
saw it
before.
in person. And the year before. Yeah. And so I don't have a lot of faith in Mountain View. And Battlefield has won a state championship, and they beat Freedom 3 years ago. I like Battlefield, and I've seen them play a couple of times this year. I covered one of the games. I like Battlefield, like you said, but I have an insider. I have an insider who, from their perspective, having seen the games, and where they had common opponents, who feels like that Battlefield should win this game.
24-20.
Yep.
Take it to Vegas, Kirk.
Well, I'll finish out here. I was telling the last 2 weeks, the team that I picked to win has lost. So, Battlefield, you don't want me to do this to you, but Purple Rain, I like Battlefield. 84, Newmarket North Mall, and Purple Rain. I like 26-24.
Let's do it this way. And I know what you're going to say, Kirk.
Let's go crazy.
Let's also,
nuts.
But these last few games, let's pick teams that we know based on their uniforms.
Oh,
that purple and black. That purple
That's
and black is dope. That is dope.
Northwest.
Well, Mountain View has your hokey look. Mountain View is just like Virginia Tech. Their colors.
Because AD's from Virginia Tech. That's why.
Yep, I know. Yep. All right. So based on uniforms, who you got, Kirk?
Oh, don't make me do that. That's like treason for me. I like the purple better. Sorry.
Okay, Jason.
Battlefield, purple.
Jay.
Battlefield, purple.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
For because I know back on What's Happening, somebody was picking games based on their helmets or whatever.
Another great game down in Richmond. That is Manchester at Thomas Dale. Jason, want to get your take on this game?
Yeah. So listen, hey, Gholson, by highway, these schools are less than 16 miles apart. So when you do your pick, just make sure you factor that into your formula. Okay, 16 miles.
All right.
All right. Hey, Kirk, you called another dynamic 2-3 matchup here, guys. Manchester dropped a close one early in the season to Highland Springs. Dale's run the table the entire year. Both of these teams absolutely feel, and rightfully so, that they can make a run to a Class 6 title. So, look, I'm guilty as charged. If we were doing word association, if you say Class 6, I say Freedom and Highland Springs. Those are the first two words that come out of my mouth. It's human nature. It makes sense. Thomas Dale and Manchester are premier programs, though. We cannot forget about them. They've got Power 5 talent. Their rosters are deep, great coaching staffs that put the players in the right spots. I chewed on this game for a long time. I probably wrestled with this thing for like an hour. Manchester's got great size up front. They showed that in their shutout in round one. I think they beat Lansdowne. NJ Hines, Nick Tyree, they lead a very, very potent ground attack for Dale. The game's going to go back and forth, in my opinion. Dale by a nose, 28-27.
Okay. Gholson.
Now, Thomas Dale has more power points than Freedom. So they've had a tough schedule, Thomas Dale. So in that case, I'm going Thomas Dale. I'm going to say 21-20 over Manchester.
All right. Rusty Bird.
I told you my cousin played for them, and his dad, my cousin, coach, was on that coaching staff a few years ago. But every time I pick them, they lose. So I'm going to go Manchester. I'm going to do my reverse pick thing. And so I got Manchester winning 30-23. Plus, we had the Manchester coach on the show.
That's right. Tom Hall was on here.
Yep.
All right. So I was able to talk to Danny Lewis today. Danny called me on his ride home, was kind enough to give me his background. Everybody, Danny writes for VA Preps. That's Matt Hatfield's outfit. There's Will Garlock. They just do a great job. Make sure you check them out. It's worth the money. So Danny was just telling me that either team could win this. Manchester's got a lot of weapons. Makai Byerson, edge guy, who's he's going to be going to WVU. Play some wide receiver also. Big offensive lineman Kenny Walls going to East Carolina. Shamari Earls at Thomas Dale. That's a name that's going to be a big recruiting battle for Virginia Tech. Oxendine came out of that school. Ricky Hall. This one, I just think that either team could win. I think just Manchester has too many weapons for them. right? So I like Manchester 34-14, and Rusty, I'd go on the uniform too. I like Manchester's uniform and their colors better. So, and by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, I was waiting for y'all's analysis on Battlefield Mountain View to make my pick. I've done that a couple of times. So I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Doherty of Lake Braddock today. He's been on our show. Great guy. We talked a little bit about the game coming up, and West Springfield's going to face Lake Braddock. We did this game a few weeks ago. It was a barn burner, like a neighborhood. Those teams are right down the road from each other. So West Springfield's going to be going back to Lake Braddock. Jason, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, both of these teams had fairly comfortable wins in the opening round games. It's about to get uncomfortable now for both of them. Mid-October, you called that game, Kirk. It's 41-37, I think. Braddock came out victorious in that one. My takeaway from that game, both of the quarterbacks are very, very good. Michael Suris for Braddock, Brian Walrath for West Springfield. I expect another tightly contested game here in Burke on Friday night. But just so Rusty knows, Rusty, I hope you're listening closely here. In spite of your record and all these picks, I always respect what you say and how you come up with some of your picks. I dated a girl in college that graduated from West Springfield.
Oh,
I know.
Hold on. Let's not
wait a minute.
She had to be pretty because West Springfield and Lake Braddock, you have to be pretty to go to that school if you're a girl.
She was. But in all fairness, right after I got out of college, she dumped me. So
smart girl.
So look, once in a blue moon, that strategy works for Rusty. So I'm actually going to go with the guys. Give me the Spartans of West Springfield, despite that horrible emotional breakup that I went through. I've got West Springfield 24, Lake Braddock 21.
Ooh. All right. Just let me go next then. My beautiful wife, Leah Arlana Moore Byrd, graduated from Lake Braddock. They have the most beautiful women in the world. Beautiful and smart. Got a little PhD.
Well, what the heck's she doing with you then?
And a great
athlete. That's what I was going to say. Jason, how did I get her? Like, you didn't get the West Springfield girl. I got the Lake Braddock girl. I don't know how it happened, bro, because you're the man. But look, with that, because of my lovely, smart, beautiful wife, I got to go Lake Braddock. And, hold on, but the most important thing, did y'all see those dope Lake Braddock uniforms that they had on? Kirk, didn't you post that on our site?
Those were sweet, man.
Those joints.
Really nice.
Again,
they're like the Brentsville Monarchs, man.
Yeah. They look sweet. But what's weird is when you look, they have the same color. They have purple, but in the online, the picture, it looks like it's blue, but they have that purple and they are rocking it. So anyway.
Jay Gholson.
Here's the deal. I've seen Lake Braddock play twice this year. One in the Rip Colgan, which that was actually a close game in the first half. And I saw him scrimmage against Battlefield, where Battlefield just pushed him around. But that was then. This is now. This is November, and Lake Braddock is Lake Braddock is Lake Braddock. So I'm going to say Lake Braddock 29, West Springfield 10.
Okay.
Well, my score was 35-21 if I didn't say it.
Okay. It's interesting. I told Coach Doherty that I was picking them. And I've had some time to think about it. This is an even matchup.
Yeah.
I know that West Springfield is very good at throwing the ball. And they've also got great returners. The return game is going to be big. I love the way that Lake Braddock is going to be packed for this game.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a coin flip, but I would say I like West Springfield because of a couple things. West Springfield's got a lot of things to just say, hey, these guys just beat you. Let's go back there and beat them. And I think West Springfield is looking for some respect, and they've got a great opportunity here to get to the regional final. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to say West Springfield in a very close game. It's going to be another high-scoring game. West Springfield's going to light it up, and I would say that I like this one 41-27. 32. We're going to close out with a big game. We're going to talk about Freedom, but we're picking them. They're facing a very good, as you said, Rusty, a team we don't have in our top 10 in Nova is Colonial Forge. We have them receiving votes, and we got the voice of Freedom, Jay Gholson, and Rusty, who's been in Prince William County forever. Jay Gholson, things are going to get a little tougher for Freedom. I still like them to win the state championship, but it's interesting. I think that aura of dominance, like this is Freedom's, is not as strong as it used to be. How is Freedom doing going into this game, Jay?
Well, Freedom has scored 70 points, 65, 65, 60, and 60, the last 4 or 5 games.
Right.
The other hand, Colonial Forge, their coach, their defensive coordinator, Bill Brown, won't be scared. I mean, let me go back what he's done in the last 40-some years. 1977, was the coordinator at Garfield. He played the top team in the country in Hampton. State championship. Hampton was scoring, say, like Freedom, 50 points a game. They went down there and Hampton won 12-7, but scored on defense, not offense. Okay. And then you had him.
Dan Jones was on that Hampton team.
Yes. And also 1989 against Woodrow Wilson. You've got him Aaron Sparrow, quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They played against him, and that wasn't a blowout either. So I mean, Brown can, he's not going to be scared going up to Freedom. But Freedom is Freedom, and I hate to say it because he's my coach in high school, and of course I'm a Freedom fan. I'm going to say it'll be close in the beginning, but I'm going to say Freedom. Ooh, it might be 40-7.
Look, hold them at 40. Okay, we're in that era now. 40's a low score.
See, out of respect, he will not run a score up against Bill Brown. Out of respect, because that's his former boss too. So out of respect, I think they'll put the brakes on early.
All right, Jason Sterling.
Nice to see Forge put together a strong season like this. They've got a great running back, junior Josiah Bryson, quarterback Brock Brimhall, I think's his name. Their leading wide receiver, Tayshawn Jones. Both of those guys are sophomores. Junior running back and 2 sophomores at your skill positions at quarterback and leading wide receiver. It makes me think we could be talking about Forge for a couple of years, guys. Maybe they're a year early here, and this year might not be their year with Freedom standing in the way. Jay, you talked about those Freedom scores. I look back at it. They haven't scored less than 60 points since the end of August. So, yeah, it's, and we sort of, because we haven't called their games. I mean, in the picks here, we haven't really thought about them a lot, but they're just humming along at 60 points a game routinely. If we wanted to talk about how good they are, you'd have to do a 3rd segment show here, guys. So time constraints, we're not going to do that. If Forge can keep this close at the beginning, maybe, they can scare Freedom a little bit. I just don't see it, guys. I've got Freedom big, 53-14.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Freedom is a great team. They'll probably win the state championship, but I think Colonial Forge will give them one of their tougher games this year. I have Freedom winning 49-24, and part of that is based on the fact that if St. Michael could put up 20 points, I'm pretty confident Colonial Forge can put up at least 20 points. And it'll be, again, very well coached and have a great deal of talent. So got Freedom winning, but I think this will be their, outside of the Varina game, this will be their closest game. Oh, and DeMatha was close, but that didn't count.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've said this multiple times, but we talk about Mickey Thompson, Bill D, Mike Smith, guys, Daryl Overton at Freedom just has so much respect among his peers as being a phenomenal coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is he's loaded. A lot of times when you're loaded, you don't get that credit. So I picked them to win Class 6 at the beginning of the year. I happen to think the Highland Springs, if they get there, is going to be a tough one. I like Freedom in this one, 45-10. And, I feel bad for the Mountain View Battlefield winner that has to go to a great environment there in Woodbridge. But yeah, going to be getting better and better for Freedom, and we'll see how things go. So at this point, we're going to roll into the rest of the games. The good news, guys, is we don't have as many games as last week. So we're going to start out down in 3. Heritage from Newport News beat Grafton. They're going to be going to Hopewell. Hopewell is a very good team, guys. In that 3, we talk about Brentsville. We talk about Kettle Run. Hopewell is right there. It's a tough team. I believe we all have Hopewell. Anybody picking Heritage?
Yeah.
Okay. And Heritage is a team in the PD that can build on some things. Another one's a great 2 classic team, matchup. You're talking about Lake Taylor at Lafayette. This is a tough one to pick. I'm going to go with Lafayette. I believe, have we consensus gone with Lafayette, everybody?
I have Lafayette.
So yeah. Armstrong Kennedy at Thomas Jefferson. Guys, I think there's a chance that Thomas Jefferson is going to get to things being real now. I like Thomas Jefferson in this one. Rusty, I know you've got Thomas Jefferson, assuming they win, but we are all going with Thomas Jefferson. Rustburg at Liberty Christian. Rusty, are you going with Rustburg?
I almost did, but later on we look back at my record of what wins and losses. Nobody gives me credit for picking Rustburg or William Byrd or any of that, LC Byrd. Just because I think that this one, I just think Liberty Christian, again, they get to recruit. It's a private school, y'all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But, they are a team that we haven't talked about that much because we've talked about Brentsville and Kettle Run. We talked about Thomas Jefferson and, Hopewell, Lafayette coming out of the East. But Liberty Christian is a very impressive team. We all like Liberty Christian. Moving on, a great matchup, a rematch, Spotswood at Turner Ashby. I analyze this. We all have Turner Ashby. Rusty, you have Turner Ashby?
Yep.
Christiansburg at Magna Vista. Magna Vista is a number 1 seed, undefeated. Christiansburg got to the state semifinals last year. We all have Magna Vista in this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Lord Botetourt at William Byrd. I actually am going to go with Botetourt. I like Lord Botetourt. Rusty, did you go with Byrd? Oh my God, why am I asking that? Okay.
Nope. They let me down.
I got Byrd too.
I thought about it.
Yeah, I got Byrd.
Let me down.
My bad. I got that. Hampton and Phoebus. The only thing I would say here, this used to be a classic, one of the best nation rivalries. And I think Hampton is missing some key players. I didn't verify that. But I just think that, what happened last weekend is going to galvanize.
Yeah, they're missing key players because they play for Phoebus.
Yeah. Now, they have some injuries. They have a couple things that happen. And it used to be the other way around, by the way, Mr. Byrd. But
I can assure you this game will not get out of control, though.
Oh, yeah. Right. No, it's not going to get out of control. And I tell you,
these teams over the last 2 years, Hampton has played them the best.
Yeah.
Right. They have. But I think this Phoebus team is on a mission. It's a great defense. We all like Phoebus in this one. Churchland and War Hill. And I think we all went with War Hill, but, Churchland, the Truckers are a very good program. Huguenot and Verina. Real quick, I was just going to tell you guys that this is a game we haven't talked a lot about. Huguenot. Verina is a very, very good team. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on the fact that this is a pretty good matchup. We all like Verina, but do you think Huguenot, Jason Sterling, you think Huguenot has a shot in this one?
Potentially. Verina offensively still, they're still trying to figure out their quarterback situation. I think they toggle between 2 guys still.
Yeah.
I will tell you again, who did I mention this about? One of the earlier teams, maybe a year or 2 early for Huguenot. Look at them. They're very, very young, Kirk. Talk to me next year, the year after, and Huguenot could be very, very far down the playoff path.
They got a
phenomenal JV team. I think the JV team was either undefeated or lost 1 game. They got a lot of sophomores starting on varsity. So just come back in about a year.
Yeah. I was going to say they've got a defensive lineman that the people of Virginia Tech should be on the radar. He's got offers from Georgia, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, and Tech is right in there. And like you said, JV programs are huge. We're going to talk a little bit about this one. I talked to Jeremiah Davis tonight. Loudoun County at Tuscarora. So, Jason, you're out here, Loudoun County. You see both teams play. What's your take on this one, real quick, Jason?
Yeah, Tuskegee got some flaws, even at 10-0, but they're the better team in the county, I think. Here, I love Jeremiah. Sort of my heart's pulling for county here, but Tuskegee's the better team. I don't think you get to 10-0 by accident, guys. I mean, even with flaws, you've got to go out and beat everybody. They did. I got Tuskegee in this one, probably by 2 scores.
Okay. Everybody else has Tuskegee. All right, upset alert. Loudoun County can beat Tuscarora. This is a big rivalry out here. A big rivalry. I know that Loudoun County won last year, and there was a turnover. But County's gotten better. They are a much better team than we saw at Briar Woods. Montez Dyson, smaller back, is dynamic. Aiden Balvey at quarterback is very good. We noticed him out here in Ashburn. They've got a big line that's come together. Chase Kibble, his dad's Jimmy Kibble, the guy that
Tech
punter, the punter in the national championship, ran Peter Warwick down, and after Peter Warwick, he slammed him into the wall. I don't remember that, but Carter Scruggs too. So they were big line last year. Tuscarora is home until the state championship if they win out. I like Tuscarora, a lot of weapons. I think that things are going to get tougher and tougher for them. Loudoun County can win this game, but I like Tuscarora. I like their weapons. I like Dawson Pugh, Eli Chappell, Tommy Petey. Tommy Petey can take off and run. Jonah Iloa is a great defensive end. And when they face a bigger team that's got quality athletes, Tuscarora is going to have some challenges, but I do like Tuscarora. And Loudoun Valley at Champ. That's the other group in this region. I just wanted to point out that if Champ wins and beats Tuscarora, they're at home for the state semifinals. I looked at the power ratings, and I like Champ in this one. I think that Champ is a team that has been overlooked. We haven't talked about them enough. I've been doing more and more research on them. They don't necessarily have a go-to running back, but they have a lot of weapons at receiver and kind of the slots. Hanley is at Salem. All right, Hanley's up here. The judges, downtown Winchester School, and they're going to be going to facing the Salem team that's got Chris Cole going to Georgia and Peyton Lewis going to Tennessee. And I like Salem in this one. I know we all like Salem, and that's setting up for a great regional final. EC Glass at Jefferson Forest, 2 unbelievable programs. Guys, the pro athletes that have come out of these 2 schools has been phenomenal. I know that, Jay, you like EC Glass. That's a great pick. Rusty, did you pick? I didn't get yours.
Glass.
You like Glass. Okay, so we're split. The Beach District, that region's got a couple good matchups. Salem has got the big offensive lineman, Jalen Gilchrist, big time recruit. It's going to be a big battle. He's getting recruited all over the place. I am going to go out on a limb, and I am actually going to take Salem to beat Green Run. And I'm just sitting here thinking about Brandon Williams, but they've struggled for 3 straight weeks. They've struggled for 3 straight weeks. They've got all the talent in the world. I just think that this is one of those where Salem can go and do it. I like Salem in an upset. And then the other one, Mr. Byrd, you look like a prophet picking Kempsville. In a team, I don't know if you guys remember this. I said that I thought Indian River was going to be tough going down the stretch, and they're starting to really play again. That's a great. Rusty, who did you go with?
Sticking with my Kempsville.
That's a good pick. I like Indian River. Fleming at Freeman. I've got Freeman winning this one. Mr. Byrd, did you take Freeman?
No, I like Fleming.
You like Fleming?
Yeah, absolutely.
You okay?
They beat a number 1 seed. They're a good program.
Yeah. Godwin at Matoka. This is one where I know Danny Lewis of VA Preps. He was talking about Matoka winning this. Now, of course, the 2 and 3 seed went down. So Matoka, we all have Matoka. We're rolling right into with this 5 region that has Stonebridge, Briar Woods, is Massaponax triple option team coming to Stonebridge to play the wing T. Jason, give us a real quick overview on this.
Yeah, exactly right. You got 2, running based offenses, triple option versus the single wing. So not a lot you don't see that matchup a lot. I'll tell you this, with Patrick Henry and Louisa, number 1 and 2 in Region C, losing, guess who's got home field through the semis now?
SB.
Oh, they got home field too. All the way to state championship.
Yep.
They're
on, if they win out, they're only traveling.
And we talked about that weeks ago that, hey, Stonebridge may have to go on the road to Patrick Henry.
They needed 2 things. They needed 2 things to happen. They needed Patrick Henry and Louisa both to lose, and then have it in the weekend.
Yep. And that is a long bus ride, Jay Gholson. I will say this: that 4 losses is a misrepresentation of Stonebridge, and quite frankly, we have to run the polls the way we run them. I would put Stonebridge probably in the top 4, if not the top 3.
No, it's not a misrepresentation. They lost the game.
I know.
It's not a misrepresentation.
You have to run polls the way that you run them. But if I was ranking, like, there's plenty of teams ahead of Stonebridge that I know Stonebridge would beat. River Bend and Briar Woods. We all have Briar Woods. Rounding out, we're getting back to our Class 6. We've got Herndon and James Madison. We all like James Madison. And then Yorktown and Westfield. All right. This is a big one, guys. Jason, just real quick, you saw Westfield play last week. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, Yorktown is a very, very underrated team, guys. I mean, we put some of their games together. I have not been able to figure them out all year. I think I've got them wrong every time we've had them on a pick. I'm saying Westfield here, but if history's any indicator, Yorktown could pull this game out. I like Westfield though. They're doing the right things right now with the football, particularly offensively. I think they had to find that identity early. They were breaking in a lot of new players too. They've been real young over the last couple of years, and look for Westfield to come out of this game though.
Yep. Oscar Smith at Highland Springs. Jay, why do you think Oscar Smith is going to take Highland Springs? I just want to get that from you.
If it was an upset like this, I just see it. That freshman quarterback is no longer a freshman. Smith does play well on the road. I've seen him play over the years at Battlefield and win, at Colonial Forge and win, and I see him going to Highland Springs and winning.
And that's Fairfax at South County. We all have South County in this. So real quick, wanted to just ask everybody to make sure that you subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter at the Kirk and Byrd to talk about
these 2-3 matchups that we went through. Every single one of them's dynamite, guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And this time next week, there's going to be a Fleming Patrick Henry type of upset. There's going to be a South Lakes type of upset. We don't know who it's going to be, but at this time, we're going to see the cream rise to the top, and I would say that just somebody's going to make that surprise.
At this point, though, Kirk, I don't think there are any upsets except if Highland Springs loses, Maury loses, Freedom loses. Those are the only 3. I don't think any other team lose. Like, Green Run, Warwick. Oh, Phoebus.
I was going to say, man, that's a huge upset.
No, Phoebus has a rough way to go. They're a favorite, but they are not in the class of those other teams in terms of.
But they're not going to play those other teams.
No, I'm saying in class 4, it would not be a shock if Phoebus lost to a Varina, if Phoebus lost to a Dinwiddie. That's not going to shock us. Like, Phoebus is not guaranteed anything.
It would shock me. I think they're favored to win. It's not the shocker that it used to be. It wouldn't be the same as Maury. Maury's the team.
I'm saying it right here. Phoebus is not going to win state. Telling you that right now.
All right.
Karma.
We're not going to bet, but
if Maury or Freedom go down, I don't think either will. And I don't think either one of us expect them to. That would be an hour-long show for us.
Yes.
You know, you got a point, Rusty. That Verina, Dinwiddie, King George is more likely. But I think that this Phoebus team is going to galvanize that defense. I would put their defense against anyone. And they were better last year with Jordan Bass.
Yeah, they were better. And again, I'm looking. They only beat Hampton High School 28-6 this year. Okay, they're not great. They only beat Warwick by 8 points.
Yeah,
they are very vulnerable. And so
I said they're vulnerable, not very vulnerable. I feel
my point was there are 3 teams that we will be shocked. If Phoebus loses, we're just going to keep rolling. If they lose to Dinwiddie or Verina or King George, we'll be like, okay.
Would you be shocked or very shocked if Highland Springs beat Freedom Woodbridge? I would be shocked, but not very.
No, I think some people would pick Highland Springs.
Okay.
Yeah, man, Lauren Johnson coaches like
Lauren knows how to
professional team. I mean, he will punt from the 50-yard line. Most teams.
He also makes a ton of adjustments too.
He will punt from like the 50-yard line to play defense.
Yep.
Because he trusts all 3 phases of his game. Most coaches will go for it, just because that's what you do in high school these days. He'll play just like you would in college with the pros. You watch it.
And Kirk, let me say, I haven't seen Highland Springs this year, but let me tell you, Freedom has an Achilles heel in special teams. And what Jason just said is, I guarantee if that is not fixed, if they play Highland Springs, Coach Johnson will expose that, because you need every extra point. You need to punt when you need to punt. It's not they're not playing Madison in the finals this year.
Yep. I think Maury is the least likely. They're the most dominant. But don't bet against Mickey Thompson, because the view of that team is skewed because they played Martinsburg, Quince Orchard, Good Counsel. Who am I forgetting here?
Madison.
What was the other one?
Madison.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. They should have beaten Madison. All right. It was a reverse at the end, and they weren't playing very good. They had 18 holding penalties. The funny thing is, I really am. I think Maury is unbelievably, but the gap between them and the rest of the pack is the biggest. But
all right. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for joining us. This has been a great. We talk so much because it's the best time of the year. It is the absolute best time of the year, but I'm enjoying this ride with you guys. So for Jason Sterling, Jay Gholson, Kirk Hilliard, this has been the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are out.